Hello and welcome back to Disney Journey. I'm retired Imagineer Jim Schull, and on today's journey we're going to go to a place that's currently in the news. And of course by that I mean Bayou Adventure. So let's get started. Today's journey begins in the state of Florida, but actually it begins really on the rivers of America. We're just across from Tom Sawyer's Island. Well, the new attraction, Bayou Adventure, has just opened to guests. A lot in Bayou Adventure will be familiar to people who had ridden Splash Mountain, like the buildings. But they've changed because now the story is set in the 1920s. Bayou Adventure features a new story set in the 1920s, while still featuring that favorite 50-foot drop. Once inside the cave for the big finale, well, that's completely changed. And it's spectacular. It's a great use of screens, state-of-the-art animatronics, great sound, lighting, everything you could possibly ask for. And it definitely adds something to the character and the texture of Frontierland there in the Magic Kingdom. As the saying goes, around every river bend, there's going to be a big surprise. And so it is with Bayou Adventure, because here, just when you think it's over, who do you see but Mama Odie? And a tray of baked goods. Yum. Oh, and a snake. However, before there could be a Bayou Adventure, there had to be a Splash Mountain. And for that to happen in 1880, Joel Chandler Harris had to publish his book, Uncle Remus, His Songs and Stories. The very first Splash Mountain was built in Anaheim, California, at Disneyland, in a new land devoted to itself called Critter Country. I remember as a young Imagineer coming and walking the site, and later on, well, I was a test dummy. And I recall one evening there for a film shoot. Well, I wrote it, and I went down that 50-foot drop, and it was still a calibration period of test and adjust. And I recall I didn't know I could get so wet. I felt like a duck. But the ride was a success, no doubt. When Disney opens a successful ride, it very often gets copied elsewhere. And this one made its way over the ocean to here, Tokyo Disneyland. And strangely, it's right in the middle of the park. But it's in a beautiful area. And again, it's in Critter Country. The steam train goes past it. There are the Explorer canoes. There's a great restaurant. But the one thing missing, well, any reference whatsoever to Uncle Remus or the Song of the South. No, indeed, this is Critter Country, and they went full bore, burying the needle deep, deep, deep into this world of critters that guests get to visit. So let's turn our attention back to Florida now. When the decision was made to build Splash Mountain in Florida, it was a busy neighborhood already, because Splash Mountain in Florida would have this Big Thunder Mountain as a neighbor. And you can see it's all desert and rock and cactus. So the clever designers at WDI came up with a mix, and that led to this, as you can see here in this rockwork sample. And now it was full speed ahead. But what could possibly go wrong? Well, Splash Mountain and Bayou Adventure feature great soundtracks. And great soundtracks typically are in concert halls. But concert halls aren't built out of concrete. Concert halls tend to be soft surfaces with acoustical treatments, sloped seats, padding, anything you could possibly build or plan to build that would manage the sound within inside the facility. Not concrete. Definitely not this. But this is what they had to build with in order to build Splash Mountain. So taking the rockwork sample, it led to this, and finally to this. But again, the clever people at WDI, through a lot of tricks, created an environment where you could have a great soundtrack delivered to guests. And the solution ticks off one of the boxes. But what else could go wrong? Well, sensors. Sensors are not your friend. The ride system has a set of sensors that serve as triggers and moderators. Well, what are sensors and why are they important? Why do we care about sensors? Well, for a lot of reasons. What the sensors do is they perform a governing factor. They separate ride vehicles to create a safety zone. They trigger lighting effects, character animation effects, physical effects, and they have to be there along the course of the ride. In the case of Splash Mountain, well, they're kind of hidden in plain sight. They serve a purpose, and they have to be there, but they're not supposed to be seen by guests, even if they stand there for hours. You see that post? That's a sensor. And you see what happens here when the sun comes up? Well, that triggers a sensor and bad things happen. Therefore, the rule is that the sensors have to be there, but they have to be masked in a way so they operate both in the winter months and the summer months when the sun is high in the sky and low in the sky. And when everything works well, the ride operates. The second box is now checked, which means you have a successful ride. And Splash definitely was, although the one in Florida is now closed. But it joins a company of other rides that closed, like Bugs Land. Once upon a time, you walked into DCA in California and you saw the Tower of Terror through this vista. Of course, now it's not even Tower of Terror anymore. But, Flick's Fun Fair does live on. And so maybe, possibly, someday, there'll be a little miniature version of Splash Mountain in a box for guests to enjoy once again. Well, that concludes today's journey, and we'll have another real soon. But until we do, I'd like to invite you to like and subscribe to this channel. And until we meet again, for now, it's goodbye from Lost Canyon. See you real soon.